It was a little bit more light than it is now, but nonetheless, as I'm coming up my steps, I see across the field, which we often have deer in the field, deer in our yard. Oh, it's not going to pick it up. But why is it not picking up? Anyways, right in the middle, I'll post a video that zooms in and shows it a little better. But right in the middle is a stalk of corn. Oh, it's because the fog is almost covering it. But right in the very middle, at 12 o'clock, basically, there's a stalk of corn that looked like a white-tailed deer's head. Antlers even look like it has a back to it, literally. And I mean, there's always deer grazing in this field at this time of the evening. Even in my yard, I have them. So anyhow, thought it was a deer, stood here and waited for the thing to move. It's not showing up at all, but stood here waiting for the thing to move on camp and waiting just for it to move to capture it. It still looks like it has antlers. It must be the corn on the cob has the leaves divided. Anyhow, and so as I'm sitting here staring at the corn and the cob, my truck, which my keys were already inside the house, the truck unlocks by itself. I'm like, that's weird. I thought maybe the keys were touching the fob had another part of the keychain, you know, touching it basically. But I was like, okay, so I go in and I get the keys, I come out, I lock the truck because the lock button on this thing has not worked in like a couple of years. I can unlock it, but the locking button doesn't work, okay? And it's like $400 or something insane to get fixed, maybe even more. So I was like, screw it. So anyhow, I come out, go over, lock my truck, and as I'm sitting here and the keys are not touching anything, the thing unlocks again. So I don't know if the door got wet. It shouldn't have got that wet. Or if this key thing is low on the battery and it just keeps locking and unlocking itself. But, you know, totally unsafe if I'm going to go somewhere and leave the vehicle. It may be unlocking itself all that time. Like, oh my word. I'm like, what to do about it? Anyhow, had to share that with you guys. Thought it was kind of funny that I stared at the corn and the cob. But it does look like a deer. I mean, it literally looks like a deer still. But it's corn on the cob, I'm sure. Because it would have had to do something by now. It would have moved by now. And that's what happens because sometimes this field is a cornfield. And then they alternate the cornfield with soy. But yeah, so it's a rainy day here. Let me know where you're watching from. It's good. The flowers are all going to bloom tomorrow. All the pansies, I harvested the flowers. They're actually on the dashboard of my truck, sun drying. Pansies are edible. They also make beautiful jewelry and resin art and all kinds of things. And I harvested a bunch of herbs. I'm going to cut all the roots off tomorrow. And there's rosemary, thyme, cilantro, parsley, and lemon verbum, I think they call it. I gotta look up how to pronounce that actual thing, but it smells absolutely stunning. That whole fresh bouquet of herbs. So there's some rosemary, some cilantro, there's parsley, and then all that is lemon all in behind. And basically, I don't know if any of that part is actually going to be able to reseed. Sometimes some of them will come up the year after. So because it's raining, the roots should be fine till tomorrow. And I'm just going to cut them all at the roots, go back, put the roots, drop them right back into the hole they came from. And maybe next year it'll pop back up. You never know. But our winters are pretty harsh. So some stuff, like I had a bed of oregano for years come up. Anyhow, so there's probably more to harvest in there, but the weeds are super high. And I wasn't prepared to harvest when I actually went back and ended up grabbing this whole armful, and a whole bunch of vegetables and squash and peppers and tomatoes were all due as well. So there it is. Peace out. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you garden. And this is kind of nightfall. Look, it used to be so quiet, the street. There was a lot less traffic, but now there's subdivisions up the road, and there's new homes right there where you see those lights under the tree. That all used to be bush. When I first moved here, this whole field was bush, like tall, mature bush. You know, just like if in daytime I'd do a video for you guys, if you've seen the tree line, you'd see how mature the trees are. Even all these trees, like look at the oak under the light, but it's way taller than the lamppost, which is hugely tall. And then look at these pines. These are like 100-year-old pine trees. So this was all beautiful bush, and then all of a sudden, bang, new house, new house. I think there's 4 of them over there. So it's just strange to have all the traffic now. But anyhow, look at this. Look how beautiful that is. Woo! Look at the color. That's all fresh from your own garden, guys. You can dry the parsley, you can freeze it, you can make ice cubes and put fresh herbs in the ice cubes and pop an ice cube when you need it. You know, you just take an ice cube tray and you drop as much oregano, as much parsley, thyme, whatever as you want. And then when you need and you can get the covered ice cube trays. I like those now. You can find them at the dollar store. I kind of laugh because, man, the dollar store has become a $5 everything item store. Like, it should be $5 store instead of dollar store. Literally, it should be $5 store instead of dollar store. Anyhow, I'm going to go inside because it's damp, it's cold. But just thought it was funny to share that the stalk of corn, which I thought was a deer, and then as I'm sitting here and my truck starts unlocking itself, so I locked it, then it unlocked itself again. Went and got the keys so I could tell what was going on with the keys. I thought maybe they fell on the floor and the cats are touching it or something. I think it's the battery, or the door got wet and the locking thing on the door is funking up. But anyhow, hope you have a good night. Peace out. Stay safe. It's actually beautiful when there's not... Oh, hey, thanks for the hearts. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. I was just literally across the road. You can't see it now at all because the fog has come in. But when I come home, in the field here, it's a soya field, so the plants are short to the ground. There's something sticking up, and it looks like a deer. It even looks like it had antlers. And I sat here and tried to wait for it to move, and then I realized you can kind of see it right at 12 o'clock, right there. Right there. But I have a video of it. I have a video of it up close, so much like a little earlier, so the light was better and the fog wasn't rolled in so much. But so it looked like a deer. So I'm sitting here thinking it's a deer, and then I realize it's corn. If it's not there in the morning, I'm gonna freak out. But anyhow, and then all of a sudden my truck unlocks itself. I'm like, that's weird, because I hang my keys on the door. So I go back in, check the keys. They're okay. Come back out, sit down, the door, the truck unlocks itself. So I go take the keys out with me this time. I go lock the truck because the unlock button works, but the lock button does not work on this thing. And when I went to get it looked at like a year ago, it was like $300 or $400 to get a new one. So I was just like, oh, I'll figure it out. But long story short, my truck's unlocking itself. So it could be, I had to go do some appointments in the last week. It could, like, anyhow, I don't want to talk about that part. I'm hoping it's fine, that it just got wet. Anyhow, hope you guys are having a great evening. Let me know where you're watching from. And I hope you found my story funny. What I thought was a deer is just a stalk of corn that's grown in the soya field, because they rotate the crops every year or two. They'll change it from soy back to corn because each of those different crops take different nutrients from the soil, so it kind of just replenishes itself when they alternate the crops. But soy is big here, and I never had these Asian beetles. They eat my roses, which just kills me, because by the end of June They usually arrive by like July 1st weekend. They usually are here. And when they're here, they're by the thousands. And those, you can get these beetle catcher things. They're apparently they attract them. But the soy field is where these Asian beetles are attracted to, because when this used to be a bush, I had my roses all year long. I could harvest we would use it for bath salts. We would make tea out of it, and beauty products. There's so much rose oil. There's so much you can do with your art. You can make jewelry, right? There's so much you can do with petals and roses and flowers and buds and blooms and everything. And when these Asian beetles come now, they destroy my rose crop. They destroy my gardens. Like a lot of the herbs you don't want to eat because the beetles have been on them, and this crop here was protected by the lemon because it is very strong scented. So I started to companion garden a couple of years ago, and that has kept my herb garden free of these Asian beetles. And I have to look up if they hate magnolia flowers or marigolds because they have that bad smell. I hate marigolds, to be honest with you. I have a heightened sense of smell and like everything: touch, taste, feeling, sight, hearing. Much some of my sight and hearing might be going as I'm getting older, but anyhow, yeah, the lemon seems to have protected the herbs, so that's a blessing. So tomorrow I'm going to cut these guys up. It's supposed to be sunny, so I hate to bring anything inside, even if you put fans on it and have a dehumidifier running. If it's been wet, like by nature, you're best to just let nature's air, sun, and wind dry it out before harvesting the flower, because 9 times out of 10, you're just gonna end up, it's gonna turn to mold or it'll brown. It's just not gonna turn out nice. So if you harvest a dry flower, and like these herbs, I left the roots on and everything because literally I didn't have time. I didn't go back to harvest, but I was like, oh, I gotta grab these while they're there, and I'm just gonna go grab some more tomorrow in the sunshine, and then I'm going to cut the roots off of all of these, and the plants are going to get put in trays to dry, and the roots are going to go back into the garden. Sometimes they'll come back up next year. I don't generally pull out the roots. I generally crop all the crops at the garden. I've never done it this way, but the soil was so wet, the plants just started, and the plants were getting so big. Not so much the rosemary, although it's a beautiful size, but the lemon plants around were getting so big that everything was just like uprooting itself. So yeah, I didn't get to harvest my chamomile, which upset me. I wasn't in the garden as much this year because I've just had a lot going on, and you have to have the energy to go outside, and once you get out there, you're going to want to pull weeds, and I'm waiting surgery, so I'm not supposed to be bending, and just in kind of a lot of pain. So I'm not doing as much as I used to, so it kind of breaks my heart that my harvests weren't. Because if you cut your parsley, if you cut your rosemary down, it'll keep regrowing and regrowing and the more roses you pick, the more they bloom. People will be like, oh my God, I thought you were a nature lover. Why are you picking all your rose blooms? I can literally strip the rose bushes down to absolutely bare green. There's not a rose bloom to be found, and come out the next day and the entire thing is just abundantly full. It's just the way these wild rose bushes are, and same with pansies. Every day I pull my pansy flowers, and the next day that they're blooming, as long as they get some water, they'll bloom daily just about. And you'll see in a video that they were full bloom. I've picked them all, and now they'll be in full bloom like tomorrow. So nature's funny, it's supply and demand. Almost like when you have a baby and you nurse the baby, you usually have enough milk, because it's supply and demand. It's just nature's way. So it's incredible how so many things in nature mimic the cycles of each other. I just think that's incredible. Anyhow, it's raining, it's damp, it's cold, although I love it. I love to hear the rain falling on my maple tree and falling down off the leaves, hitting the ground, and it's too bad there's traffic at this time, but It's always been a dream to retire on a lake with a lot of acreage and be able to go out my front door and fish and have fresh, clean vegetables that aren't getting like, I don't, they're not supposed to spray these fields, but what they do sometimes we don't know. So if they're spraying them, that chemical will definitely carry to where my garden is because it's not that far. Um, and I just, think that I'd love to be somewhere that I can harvest my own rainwater. I can harvest energy, solar energy from the sun and store it in case there is grid, shut down, whether it's a weather anomaly, whether it's forest fires push you out of your area, you never know. But if you're on a lake, you can have a water system, you have water access, you have access to, water that you can still boil if it's not filtered, or there's so many ways to do like home filtration systems that truly like work just as well as nature does for wells and so forth. So, yeah, just be nice to have that. And maybe, because where we are, it's a 2 acre property, but we're not any longer supposed to have chickens. You're supposed to have 5 acres to have chickens now. But there's a goat barn on this property, all fenced in. There's a chicken coop, that, and the neighbors have chickens, but I'm not going to do anything against the township's rules. I don't need any trouble. But I just dream that even though I have all this situation going on, that I get well enough and strong enough and recover more and hopefully live out the rest of my life on a lake somewhere. I mean, I dream of the ocean, but I want to be close to my children. So it's a lake that we'll have to be happy with. But being self-sufficient and just being able to rely on yourself, and that's just a dream. It's a dream. Anyhow, I hope you guys have a great evening. Let me know where you're watching from, and thank you very much for the kind words. And thank you for subscribing, guys. It means the world to me. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm in Ontario, Canada. So it's always interesting to see. Especially, like, I don't go on TikTok too much right now, but when I used to go on TikTok, I was battling a little bit. I just started when it, anyways. And, you meet people from Africa, New Zealand, Australia. So it's pretty crazy how you could pick up a little device like this phone and reach messages for each other, words, kind words. Thank you so much. I appreciate the words. And, I don't know. So hopefully today there's really no lesson in maybe my herbs. If you got to see my herbs, it's good to grow your own herbs and have fresh food that you don't buy at the grocery store and has no sprays or no anything added to it. You know what I mean? No pesticides, no growth hormone, no none of that. So I've been trying to live way more naturally. Whenever I got diagnosed with my lung issues, and just so many things, I feel blessed. I feel blessed, and I know I'm gonna get stronger. So, lots to look forward to. The kids are growing up, but there's just, one of them's getting married, and it's amazing, and the third of the three finished university, and my baby finished high school and is working, and just so proud of all the kids. I'm so proud of you, Jazz, Jerikai, McKaylee, and Shayla. I love you so much with the bottom of my heart. I love you up to the 1,000th universe and beyond. So much. You have no idea. And they're growing up. They're getting different lives and partners, and it's just all kinds of interesting new things in life. So lots to look forward to. When you get older, you have to have a positive mindset because, man, I suffer from anxiety and depression. I'm not going to hide that. And it can be rough. It can be rough. It can be rough. But I just think of the kids, and you want to still get up and fight for a whole nother day, right? So God bless you all. I hope you stay strong. I hope you're blessed. I hope you have some food in your tummy. I could go to the fridge and I have some fresh apples. I've got salad. I've got soup. I've got really good stuff to eat, but I don't even feel like it right now. So I just ate. I'm full. I had 2 perch rolls and some coleslaw, a few french fries. So I'm actually full. But I feel like I'd like some fruit, you know? Just something fresh. So I probably will go and get some apples. I love my Red Delicious apples. I love Honey Crisp apples. I love all apples, to be honest, but Red Delicious is one of my favorite, Honey Crisp. Wherever you are, I don't know if you got varieties of apples, but where we live, I don't know how many in Ontario, but probably like 100. And there's Macintosh, and there's some famous Cortland. There's some famous apples across maybe Canada too, and Quebec, because Quebec is right on my doorstep. But those are my 2 favorite apples. But my apple trees are in full bloom, so it's pretty cool. Anyhow, gotta go. Peace out, y'all. Hope you stay warm and safe, and much love. Keep watching. I appreciate it. Check out my shorts. You know, scroll back. If you love gardening, stop at the gardening. If you love travel, stop at the travel. If you love photography, or if you love hearing celebrity news, you can check out a whole bunch of different things. So there's something for everyone. I just post what I think is interesting, and I'm not in a niche, as they always say, which is probably why my YouTube is so slow to monetize. You need 1,000 subscribers, which I've reached, and I'm blessed. I have 2,000 and some, 2.3, I believe. And I think, yeah, and but it's the watch hours. You need 4,000 watch hours, and man, I don't know. It's just hard to get. It's hard to get, but I don't do like, I can't edit, so it's always raw video footage when I am on. So peace out, guys, and check out my podcast if you don't mind. It's called I Did Podcast. IDID. The actual interviews have not been launched on the channel. It's just short videos of me. I'm trying to get 50 subscribers. It's at like 46, I think. And when I hit 50, the live feature allows me to use it. Then I'll be able to hopefully show all 5 interviews that were already filmed. I have them on a hard drive. They should all be there, apparently. And that'll be amazing, because the interviews went amazing. And if somehow they're not on the hard drive, we'll be able to re-interview in live mode. And then the channel will become mostly and almost solely interviews and meeting people with incredible stories. Some of the 5 people interviewed is a modeling agency CEO. She owns an agency in Los Angeles and in Ottawa and Toronto. There's a local diamond jeweler. It's an incredible family-run jewelry business. And he went and got his license in France to make jewelry and rings and diamonds. And he got to go to the diamond mines in Ontario, and just incredible stuff. Andre Pommier. Angie Sakala Seymour is the agency of AMTI, Angie's Models Talent Association International. And so, and then I have a comic book store owner who is also a good friend, Randy, and he's tells us about his most rare comics that he owns, and his interview was awesome. He's a shy fellow. He did it because he worked for my dad back in the day, and we used to work together in my dad's ice cream parlor in Delhi, so we knew each other for decades now. And the lavender farm, when I got there, there was a hurricane warning that came over the phone, so they did the interview. We were supposed to have a picnic with lavender lemonade, and all the jewelry and the artwork and all the lemonade stand was going to be set up. And she used to she had lavender plants that she was selling, white lavender, pink lavender, and purple lavender, and different breeds of purple lavender, different species of purple lavender. And all that was supposed to be set up, and we're going to have this fantastic, you know, the wagon with the pots of flowers. But when the hurricane warning came, they closed everything down. And when I got there, she wasn't really keen on doing the interview. The sky was pretty clear, but a hurricane can come pretty fast. But we did the interview quite quickly, and it just wasn't what I hoped it was going to be. But that doesn't mean I can't do a secondary live interview. Once the channel's launched, she sees how well it's going to do. Some of the videos and shorts get like 1,000 views, guys, on that channel. So the podcasts are going to be amazing. And the other one is a book author, and she also had a podcast and may still be doing her Miss Liz Tea Time. Elizabeth Jean Oliver Gagne. I hope I'm saying that all in the correct order. Miss Liz. I was on her podcast as a guest a few times. It was incredible, awesome. She's got global guests from all around the world. She's doing incredible things I noticed on Instagram. I think she's under Miss Liz on Instagram, guys. I just saw her Instagram the other day. I don't know what the title is, but if you look up Miss Liz or Tea Time, you should find her for sure. And my interview, everyone's usually behind a desk with all their books they wrote in the background, or all their awards in frames in the back of the office, and all these fancy backgrounds when they're doing the podcast. And here, my podcast, the first one when she booked me, I thought I'd be in the living room with a beautiful fire and making it look so official and fancy. I was in the bush, and ended up doing the video and the podcast from the bush, and I ended up getting her Most Adventurous Guest Award of the year because of that fact. Everyone else is generally in a home or an office. And then the next interview, I was supposed to be home again for this next time I was invited on as a guest for the reunion podcast. And I ended up getting caught in a bad ice storm. And I was coming from Christmas shopping for my children. I used to go up to a reservation and buy from a feathersmith. And Rebecca Markle is her name. She does amazing work, artwork, earrings, incredible work. She is phenomenal. She's a healer as well. But I used to get the kids a piece from her studio every year as a Christmas gift. And this year it was good heading there, but the weather turned bad trying to get home. And I ended up getting caught in an ice storm and had to do the podcast from my truck. And I was barefoot driving because my feet were soaking wet and frozen. So I had the heater on in the truck trying to dry out my boots. And when the podcast called me upon, because there was like many guests in the reunion, and if it would have been 25 to 30, 40 minutes longer, I would have been home and dry and safe. But she called me on to come on live, and I was still driving, so I had to pull over. And I pulled over on a stop on the highway in Ingleside, Ontario. And in Ingleside, it's halfway to the equator. So on one side of the road, it says you're halfway to the equator, the North Pole, and on the other side it says you're halfway to the equator to the south. And I ended up pulling over. I thought it'd be interesting. It was right off the highway, the sign anyway. So I stopped at the sign. I was barefoot in the snow. Quite an interview. But she's doing amazing things, and she's a book author of, I think, 12 books now, maybe more. So I got to interview her. I had the blessing of interviewing her. So those are the 5 guests that were interviewed on a 4K professional CTV, basically professional videographer, but they weren't editing these videos after 8 months, 9 months, which was in the contract to do. Not necessarily a big contract. It was a personal sort of friend, and it was mutual agreement that this is what the podcast was going to happen, that he was going to film and then edit. So he didn't edit, so I got a hard drive, and he said he downloaded all 5 interviews on there, so I don't know if they're on there. So once I get to check this hard drive, hopefully the interviews are there, and all I'm going to do is take my phone and go live, put it on a tripod, and allow the interviews to play out. And then from now on, every interview I do will be live, raw, and unedited. So it's going to be truly the podcast 100% in its entirety, in its raw form. And every guest, I've got musicians who are waiting for me to be doing the podcasts. But the guests who have already been interviewed, I need to launch their interviews and get that done. And then interviewing the other guests will be easy, because setting up the phone and going live will be easy. But I've got to figure out getting these hard drives and getting these other interviews on the podcast in order, because Angie was my first person. She's a good friend of mine, the modeling agency CEO. And I've got a really wheeze in my lungs because I've been talking in the rain. So I'm going to go inside, but it's going to be extremely cool, guys. I did podcast IDID. Thanks for hanging in with me, and thank you for watching. And if you watch till the end, in the comments, just drop me a peace sign, please. And let me know where you're watching from. But at least drop a peace sign, and then I know you've watched till the end. Cheers, y'all. Peace out. Much love.